Kat Von D and Deadmau5 have had some controversy behind them, but one thing I want to look into today was their weird relationship together in the early 2010s. I've always wanted to talk about this because Deadmau5 is no doubt the biggest influence to my music or what I create, and Kat Von D with her hit show LA Ink left an impression towards exploring myself or how cool body modification can be. But we can't excuse how toxic both of them are or have been, as Deadmau5 is one of the biggest trolls on the internet and has treated some of his partners with an awful taste, and Kat has put herself in boiling water with anti-Semitism ties, as well as using her platforms within fame to oust others. The more I dug into this again, the more I became sad, because it brought back memories of how impressed I was that they had been together, only to find out a few years later that both can be toxic. Kat would have some beauty guru drama behind her, and Deadmau5 has said some very homophobic and transphobic statements. Ugh, it's just depressing to look back on. So we need to roll it back and look into some cringeworthy moments when they were engaged, as well as who they are today. This was definitely a weird relationship to come out of the 2010s, with Kat Von D and Deadmau5 splitting over cheating allegations. Kat and Mouse's relationship was one of the coolest things to come out of the 2010s for me, because it brought both of my interest of rock and metal as well as EDM. At that time, both celebs were coming off their success within music and art, so much so they even had a few tracks together. The two would hit it off in 2012, and under the Larry King Now talk show, Kat would state that it was over Deadmau5 or Joel wanting a tattoo. Now, at that time, LA Ink was a very successful reality show and would have numerous celebrities on, like Jeffree Star or her controversial ex Jesse James, and I will get more into that later in this video. But every celeb knew who to go to get quality artwork showcased on their body, and Deadmau5 was no exception. Now, I do kind of want to throw a wrench into how they met, as it could be speculated that through the metal band Motley Crue, they would at least be acquainted. In the late 2000s, Kat was dating Nikki Sixx, who was the bassist and co-founder to the group. Deadmau5 or Joel had become very good friends with Tommy Lee around the same time, who was also the drummer for Motley Crue. Now, this is probably just a coincidence that the two were around the band members, as both have never said much about that time, but I figured I would throw that out there because it was interesting during the research of this video. Kat and Mouse would get engaged around December of 2012 and had planned to have an underwater wedding in August of 2013. However, clearly it did not work out, and it wasn't long before they were at each other's throats on social media. And let me just tell you, it is rough to look back on now because of the success they had in their careers. The two had a rocky start, and in November of 2012, they would split for the first time, as Deadmau5 would make a post saying he wasn't cut out for relationships. By June of 2013, Kat Von D would post on Twitter that cheating is hurtful and the relationship was indeed over. This would cause an escalation from there, and it was like watching a high school breakup, as both would make posts about one another, and Kat would take it one step further, accusing Deadmau5 of hiding a pregnancy. What makes this even more interesting is some of the toxic posts that they put out there have since been deleted, but they still have what the relationship once was out there for people to see. This would make it quite clear that neither one of them were ready, but how's that changed in the past 13 years? Since we are talking about the weird relationship of Kat Von D and Deadmau5, we need to mention each person's controversy. Starting off with Deadmau5, he is known to be one of the biggest trolls on the internet. Just last year in 2025, you could see him beefing with James Hype, who has become another successful DJ within the EDM atmosphere. Deadmau5 had been trolling at live events, making claims other DJs were using pre-recorded sets. Hell, even in some of his live streams, he makes remarks about other people in the industry not knowing about broadcasting technology.
Can't expect everyone to know how broadcasting technology works, that's for sure. That's you.
Now, speaking more on his live streams, he was caught saying homophobic slurs on Twitch during a PUBG match, which caused him to be banned for a specific time. His stream also had some bad taste when Kelly was around, who he was married to, as you could see him talking down towards her, making for a very awkward moment.
You've never heard of Test Pilot? You're a fucking idiot, bro. You've really never heard of that guy?
No.
Going back to the homophobic slurs, you can see the edgy 2000s era he comes from, as the Twitch ban wasn't the first time he would be called out. In a Twitter rant about his helmet, which looked like someone trolling him, he would go off making ugly, homophobic, and transphobic remarks, which reads like a 2000s Call of Duty lobby. What's interesting about this, however, is he has worked with and signed Rez, who has been open about sexuality and being a part of the LGBTQ plus community. The level of trolling Deadmau5 has put out there since his blow up in the mid 2000s has left for some introverted moments. It can't go unnoticed that the fallout between the two was due to a sum of media backlash, fan reaction, and bad heartbreaks under Kat's belt. Her love life had been pretty public due to her success with LA Inc., and she would go on to feature some of them on the show. Now, you probably already know where I'm going with this, as Jesse James, who was the face of Monster Garage, which had been another successful reality show of the time, would be engaged to Kat Von D. But after a year, Kat would take to social media claiming Jesse had cheated on her with 19 other women. That's just gross, dude. This type of pain can really mess someone up for years, which would carry into the relationship with Deadmau5. It would lead to more messy behavior online, and in the mid 2010s, it started to feel like Kat Von D was seeking more validation and damage control, as you can see her fans turn against her. And I mean, why wouldn't they, with the controversy behind her name? Now, it is no secret that the beauty guru and commentary community have millions of videos on the toxicity that Kat Von D put out there. Problem started when multiple references of anti-Semitism surfaced, as the people she had involved herself with, like Jesse James, had been photographed with Nazi and Hitler symbolism. This would carry to her current marriage, and she would even address this behavior as a leaked autograph pictured some nasty slurs. Her presence of success would fully turn after she announced to her followers in 2018 of not wanting to vax her child. But the true backlash behind this was her not addressing the true problem. This would in return show people that using social media while having fame can be dangerous. So before I end this video, I need to make a note that cheating is never okay, and there is always room for growth. As I was writing the script for this video, it made me think about our journeys in life and how we grow. Both of these celebrities have shown some change throughout time, and while it could be due to age, they still left an impression on many fans, positive or negative. At that time that they had been a thing, it was cool to see different genres of music come together, but I do have to say I don't think it was meant to be. While each has controversy behind their names, you can see that they were at different waves in life. When I was a kid, I loved what Kat put out there, especially with art, and with Deadmau5, it gave me a chance to relate to a nerd. But with that being said, this will be the end of my video. I wanted to go back and explore what could have been, but this also gave me insight on what you can learn from fame. Everyone can grow and change, and I hope that these two have done the same.